Hello, welcome to this first episode of a 3D Studio Max tutorial. My name's Jake, and let's begin. Before we really get into the program, I'd first like to start out with what exactly 3D Studio Max is and how it compares to other similar softwares. So, 3D Studio Max is a 3D modeling software created by Autodesk. It's primarily used for general modeling you might see in like video games or uh, other 3D animated projects, and also architectural design. Although it's not as good as more dedicated architectural software such as Chief Architect. Um, 3D Studio Max is very good at making things like textures and rendering, as well as very large buildings and things like that, which it makes it good for architectural design if you just want a good model. There are other options though for good 3D modeling softwares. Like I said earlier, Chief Architect if you're just solely looking for architectural design and plans and that sort of thing. Another one that's actually from Autodesk is Maya. Maya is another 3D modeling software. It's a bit more complex than 3D Studio Max is when it comes to usability. It's better at animation and is often used by larger production companies. There's also Blender, which is a relatively newer software that's primarily used for smaller companies because it's free and it's open source and it can be used for modeling, texturing, just about everything. Although it's not necessarily as good at at certain aspects as Maya or 3D Studio Max. It's very much a jack of all trades. Now, um, so like I said earlier, 3D Studio compared to 3D Studio Max, Maya and Blender aren't necessarily the most user friendly, which makes them not as good for beginners. A lot of the skills you learn here in 3D Studio Max can be applied to those other softwares, which will make it easier to do things. Now, one thing that 3D Studio Max lacks is animation. It's not as good for animating as Maya is, but it is very good with making textures and rendering things. It has a very simple texturing process and tools to help with that. And its rendering isn't the most complicated thing. Uh, Oftentimes, if you plan on going into more production, more professional companies with large production values for 3D modeling, they're likely to use Maya, so it's a good idea to switch that eventually. Um, if the company plans, or if you plan on joining a company that focuses more on video game modeling or architectural or environment modeling, so again, like I say, environment mostly mean like video game environments or backgrounds for 3D videos or things like that. 3D Studio Max is going to be your best bet. And if you're just starting out, if a company is just starting out, they'll probably use Blender. So that's really your main options for 3D modeling. And again, 3D Studio Max is really good for beginners because it's easier to use. A lot of the skills you learn here can be applied to the other two, and yeah, really, that's basically about it. They all cost. I mean, Blender's free, so maybe that's easier for some people. But if you can, it's better to go with 3D Studio Max or even Maya, because they're much more common in the 3D modeling world than Blender is. Because again, Blender's relatively new, and the fact that it's free kind of can leave a bad taste in the mouth of some companies. But so that's gonna be that for this first video. Just want to talk about what exactly this program is and what your options are for this. So the next video we'll start talking about. Ignore that. Next video we'll start talking about the basic tool. Well, probably the layout, what all these different bars and stuff mean, and what all this stuff over here means. And maybe we'll go a little bit into actually making models. But until then, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.